Yo, what is up, you guys? So, as you can probably tell, it is that time of year again, where your Wizard 101 content is flooded by Wizard 101 in this year videos. And should you play Wizard 101 in 2024, 23, whatever, you're going to see a lot of varying opinions. The problem with these videos are a majority of the people that you're going to see these videos from are pandering to King's Isle for some reason, extra credits, whatever. That's the biggest one that I'm seeing this year. As most of you guys know, the extra credit creators recently got a new badge that they can wear in game that is exclusive to them. So people are really going to be sucking up to KI hard now for these badges. But I'm going to give you my honest opinion. And I'm not going to cut this video. I'm not going to edit it, whatever. I'm just going to go through and give you my genuine, honest opinion on how is Wizard 101 right now. And I say the same thing every time I make one of these videos. Wizard 101 is an addicting game. Everyone who plays this, sorry, everyone who plays it knows this, right? It is an addicting game to play. The reason we play it is because we are addicted. The reason we spend money is because we're addicted. The PvP game mode has, for about a week and a half, was unplayable because of game-breaking glitches, as I'm sure a lot of you guys saw. This was recently. This was about last week. And they released a new pack, and people were still buying it. Even though the game was unplayable, people were buying it just to spend money because it is a genuine addiction. And that's just the state of where it is right now. Raids, the problem with raids is it's extremely dry content. After it's defeated and the rewards are gained from it, no one does it, right? And this raid was a little bit different. It took us about 3 months to actually defeat it. But now that everyone's beaten and gotten the gear, except for gear upgrades, which are nice, it is nice to go back and do it again for the gear upgrades. No one is really raiding. The people who are raiding it are the large communities. So raids pander to a 2% of the game who either are content creators themselves or are in large guilds with active people that are going to be able to defeat it. So that, I feel like raids is not a very good way to describe how this game is, because a majority of people who are looking towards the, oh, should I play this game, are not going to come back to large communities. They're just not. So they're not going to have groups of people to raid with. So raids being their one big content update a year. Now that we're not getting a world this year, but we are getting a raid, they're going to be pushing the raid. But raids cannot be done by a large majority of the game. That's the sad fact of it, is that it's wasted content for the most part, except for the top 1% of players who will already spend money to buy any gear that they put into the game anyway, myself included. You know, the other day, about last week, they released the Nightmare Dungeon in challenge mode, which, for those of you guys who do not know, the Nightmare Dungeon essentially was an add-on to Wallaroo that dropped the gear pieces that we needed, that we were missing, like the Reaver and Stalker hat, robes, boots, and wands. Now, I do have every single one of these pieces now. I did beat the dungeon 25 times, but again, the dungeon was extremely stale. It's not fun content. You're not going to enjoy going through it 25 times to be able to get the gear that you need, because the drop rates are very bad, and if you don't want to spend money, you have to continue to play it. You can't just craft it off the beat. You have to defeat the dungeon 25 times. Do I think this is a good idea? Yes and no. Because you have the one side of the coin where you have the PvP players who have other things to do at the end of the game. They just want to get it over with so they can start doing PvP, Beastmoon Deca, stuff like that, challenge mode, whatever, raids. And then you have the other larger majority of the game who this is the only content they're going to see all year. And it is not enjoyable content. If you guys have not done it yet, I encourage you, go through it, prove me wrong. Just tell me you enjoy it. But it is extremely unenjoyable content. And it requires a next level of communication that you're not going to get in team ups. So if you don't really have 3 other competent people to play with, you're probably not going to beat it. And not beating that dungeon is not fun. It is an extreme waste of time if you're not completing it. Even if you do complete it, it's kind of a waste of time. You just have to do it 25 times so you can craft all of the gear that you want using the world reagents, which are pretty easy to get. They're not difficult. So that is the unfortunate truth, that if you're a PvE player, you kind of just get screwed over. On top of the fact that King's Isle recently released new damage caps. I'm going to showcase those for you guys right now. But even if you are a PvE player and the one time you get on this game a year, or you really get on to play and grind, is to farm new dungeons to get the best world gear, there's really no incentive to do so now. Because look, if you I put on damage set. Now my damage set is pretty much the max you can get. I'm running Nightmare Robe, but you know, for the most part, it is the most you can get. And I'm capped at 241. As you can see, this is 272. This set that I'm have on right now, I'm not wearing the new Reaver gear. But if I put it on, this damage is not going to go any higher. Maybe 242 at max. So are you going to do 25 runs of Nightmare to get 1 extra damage on your Storm? Probably not. It doesn't really make sense to do all of that for such a small reward. And that is where the game is now, is they are making you buy packs and they're making you do these dungeons for small rewards, unless you play PvP. Now let's talk about PvP. The gear is nice. It is game changing for PvP. Because the stats, of course, are not as high because you have to develop into other things other than damage. So it is nice to have upgrades anywhere on the board for PvP standards. But as you guys can see, PvP is not balanced at all. It is death, life, myth, and balance everywhere. If you go through all the first 15 pages, except for Brandon, like these two people right here, all of the fires and ices and storms are exploiting, except for Amber. But like all these fires are doing the most recent Fire Shark exploit, which was out last week, which was basically an unlosable game for you if you did have the pet. Now, I will say exploits like that are not very common. They probably happen once a year in PvP. So for what it is, it took us a week. You know, it was bad. The devs didn't really ever address it. No one got banned. No one got suspended. No one got rank reset. But what can you really ask for? They fixed it. So I guess PvP is back to how it was before, which is still unbalanced. Ices, fires, and storms don't really have a chance in this meta. The ices on the top of the boards got here last week when they buffed Colossus. So ice was actually really good for a week, and then now it's nerfed again. So ice is not going to get any higher than where it's at right now. That is just how it is. Every bracket is like this. Exalted is dead. You know the game is unbalanced when you have 79 pages of players playing your max level bracket, and you have I believe it's 82 pages of players playing your 50 bracket. That's how you know that it's really unbalanced, because people would rather play this than play your max level bracket, because this doesn't have any of the new stuff. It has a few Rochambeaus, but not really many, not any game breaking ones. You don't have gambits, you don't have shads, you don't have stuff like that, and the stats are fairly similar amongst all the schools. So yeah, that says a lot about PvP. And then going over to Beastmoon again, stale. We get a new form, I believe, every 2-3 months. Not really anything exciting. The maps are all still the same. No new maps. They made everything a lot easier, so all the rewards that you could get for grinding out really hard before are kind of gone. They made all the spellments pretty easy to craft as well, so those aren't really rare anymore. So Beastmoon kind of diluted their heavy player population. And Deca is starting to receive some new updates, but no one really that isn't an in-game player is going to be playing Deca. There's not really any reason to. So I wouldn't say this is like a key mark trade stone of the game. It is a fun game mode if you do have the ability to do it and you want the rewards from it. It is fun, but is it something to, you know, devote your time to come back to the game and do all this? No, it really isn't. Beyond that, the game is just stale. You know, if you're not already addicted to it, I wouldn't suggest coming back and playing it. That's the honest truth. You're going to devote way too much money into it, way too much time. You have to play a lot to even get to the end game modes. Even if you're max level, you have to raid, you have to buy packs, you have to do the Nightmare Dungeon to even have competitive stats in PvP. If you want to reach these top ranks, you have to do all that, unfortunately. And that's just how it is. Even then, the competitive integrity of PvP is terrible. It has been probably for about 3-4 years. So that is the honest truth. With that being said, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say the same thing I said last year. Should you play it? No, you really shouldn't. If you're not already addicted to it, stay away. It's not worth your time. If you want to play the storyline, go for it. It is a fun storyline to play through once. But beyond that, I would not get too far back into Wiz, because it's not gonna end up being a good thing for you. But with that being said, that's all I have for this video. If you guys want to see anything else or have anything else to add on, feel free to drop that in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next one.